This is a super quick reminder of things you might forget when playing Robinson Crusoe Adventures on the Cursed Island. For all scenarios, when using the Wreckage cards, you use the Food Crate's Wreckage card. The other Wreckage cards are used if you're playing the random Wreckage card variant, described on page 27. Just randomly pick any of the Wreckage cards. When playing solo, at the beginning of the morale phase, you'll move the morale marker up 1 for every round. When a character is healed, you move the marker to the left. If a morale marker is skipped, you do not increase the morale of the party. When you encounter an adventure icon, put that token on top of the deck, unless the token is already there. Refer to the scenario card to find out what you do for when you encounter the book icon. The same is true for the totem icon. If you encounter that, look on the scenario card. When you explore a new tile, you do not gain resources associated with that tile. You gain resources only by the production phase or the gather action. You cannot attempt to gather multiple times from the same resource in the same round. You can, however, use multiple pawns to ensure success of gathering. Resources you gain during the production phase are placed in the available resource section. However, all other resources that you gather during the action phase are placed in the future resource section. This also includes discovery tokens, inventions that are built, and treasures that you find. At the end of the action phase, you move the discovery tokens down from the future resource section to the available resource section. The fallen tree and nourishing larva must be immediately converted to resources. The other discovery tokens can be saved for later. The discovery tokens can be turned in or used at any time. When you trade in a discovery token, it is removed from the game. When attempting to build the camp items, don't forget to include the resources defined by the number of players in the game. If the build is unsuccessful, return the resources to the available resources section. If the build is successful, then put the resource in the supply area. Once you have built a shelter, it doesn't get unbuilt, so you can move it to another tile. However, the roof and palisade would be reduced by half, rounded up. So in this particular case, if you had a level of 3 for the roof, divided by 2 is 1.5, but rounded up is 2. The palisade would stay at level 1 because 1 divided by 2 is 1/2, but rounded up is at 1. If you're camping at a temporary shelter and have roof and palisade levels built up, when you move the camp, you lose all the roof and palisade upgrades. During the game, you may need to pay resources or reduce the level of some of your equipment. Unless directed otherwise, if you're unable to pay the resource or lose the level, your character is wounded once for each resource or level. All tiles are numbered at the bottom. When rolling dice to attempt an action, the V means victory or success. If you see these symbols, it means you're unsuccessful, but you gain 2 determination tokens. The broken heart means you gain a wound, and the question mark means that you draw an adventure card. If the adventure deck already has an adventure token on it, you don't draw an extra card. But you will have to draw a card no matter what you do if you attempt that action. So for example, even if you use 2 pawns so that you don't have to roll dice, you still have to draw an adventure card if there's a token on it, and you attempt that action. The scenarios define what dice need to be rolled during the weather phase. The round summary card defines pretty well what you do during the weather phase. The hungry animal die has the following characteristics. This symbol discards 1 food, this one decreases the palisade by 1 level, and this one means that you have to combat an animal of level 3. Fighting a beast is fairly straightforward. Compare the animal's strength to your weapon level. In this case, we have a 2 minus 1, so we take 1 wound. Then we reduce our weapon level by the column that has the skull. In this case, we can't reduce it by 2, so we take an extra wound. 1 wound for each level that we can't reduce. Fighting a beast is always successful, so you will gain those resources and place them in the future resource area. Then you do any other things that might be described on the bottom of the card. If you are simply fighting a beast, so for example, with the hungry animal die, you simply compare their strength to your weapon level and take wounds as necessary. Action pawns can only be used for actions that match their color. The dog can be used for both exploring and hunting. When the game directs you to find a treasure, encounter a trap, or encounter a creature, simply draw cards off the top of the deck until they match the symbol you're looking for. For example, this would be a trap, and there's a treasure. Then follow the directions on the card. If you have a shortcut and you move your camp, the shortcut token is removed, and the shortcut is returned to the invention side. You can rebuild the shortcut later. The blue markers are for special scenario situations. In the scenario, it may show up as a purple color, but it's really just these blue markers. So that's my rapid overview of the things that you're most likely to forget when playing Robinson Crusoe. Of course, the instructions have all the details there, and it's fairly nicely done, but there's just a lot to remember. So I hope that helps, and enjoy playing Robinson Crusoe: Adventures on the Cursed Island.